Welcome. You're tuned into Life is a Sacred Journey. Every week, we bring a new perspective to aging and caregiving. Here is your host, Michelle Pope.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the virtual neighborhood of Life is a Sacred Journey. It's Friday morning. It's Friday morning at 8 o'clock on the nose. And aren't you happy to be alive? It's February. Another year is upon us. We're still dealing with the pandemic and all of that. But regardless of all of that, life goes on. This morning when I woke up, there's the sun was coming up. The clouds had this hue of pink behind them. And I started thinking about cotton candy. You remember cotton candy? and how nasty it was, but how delicious it was. Because it would end up all over your face and melt everywhere. So when you get up or you leave your house after this podcast, after being with us in the virtual neighborhood, look up, people. There is so much to be seen. There's so much to enjoy. There's so much that will warm your heart. And even though life is filled with so many roads of tragedy, grief, and pain, we grow from that. And we come back restored and renewed and then joyful. So welcome to Life is a Sacred Journey. Hit that share button and let somebody know. Go back and get your water, your cup of coffee, your orange juice, or your tea. Have a seat, and we're getting ready to get started, okay? Since 22 began, you've had nothing but my ponderings. And I thank you for your graciousness as we have been putting our schedule together of folks that we wanted to invite to Life is a Sacred Journey. One, because as I was saying to our guest this morning, it is amazing how when you start living your best life and you start loving yourself and you start reaching out to other people, you realize you're never alone. And you realize that there are more people like you than you think. And that are trying to be change agents in the world. And so this morning, one of those change agents, change makers, one of those people that uses the same language as Michelle Pope, even though we've never met, but we're connected by a DNA of wanting to make change. So I'm going to read a little bit about my guest, and you can look him up online, and I hope that you do, because he has his own podcast, and you'll learn a little bit more about that. But let me just tell you a little bit about my wonderful guest this morning. Mark V. Smith. I love that because he uses his initial. And I'm glad he did. You know why? Because there are a bazillion Mark Smiths on Google. And he believes that change begins and ends within. And we have talked about that a lot on Life is a Sacred Journey. You can point fingers and you can bull daggers at other people. But boy, if you don't look in the mirror and take care of yourself, you're gonna have some challenges as you navigate this sacred journey. So let me read a little bit about my new friend. Mark V. Smith is the curator of A Bigger Vision Within. He specializes in speaking from his personal experiences of trials and tribulations. Sometimes we call those testimonials, don't we? His desire to chronicle choices and share the journey of his life resonates with everyone at our core personality, professionally and personally. He has served as Vice President of the Middle Atlantic Career Counseling Association and former Reemployment Services and Eligibility Assessment. And I love this because it was meaning grassroots, getting people the skills they need, getting people into the workplace, those kinds of things. That is like, you know how Michelle Pope feels about that. And in previous roles, he's used all of the gifts to share words of perseverance that help individuals push forward through adversity to the other side, through the tunnel to the light. Mark has received standing ovations. Yes, he has. I saw them when he spoke on topics such as growth, purpose, and legacy, one of my big words as well, at venues across the country. He's an alumni of Ohio State University, and his strong passion for mentoring. Mr. Smith, I'm reading the bio. Mark, my friend, my brother, lives with his wife, Tasha, in Laurel, Laurel, Maryland. Oh my gosh, we might not have family connected there. Currently, he is an award-winning Strive trainer at the Center for Urban Families in Baltimore, Maryland. His teachings and guidance have changed the lives of thousands of men and women, and not only in Maryland, but nationwide. With his podcast, The Process, which you're going to hear a little bit more about, he outlines and breaks down situations we all go through and offers insight on methods to defeat the storms in our life with his messages. My friend Mark gives listeners a way to remember key points as we grow forward, upward, forward, over. The Sankofa. Mark's signature vision statement, your why is greater than your situation, which is part of your process, giving us the perspective that we are always, as I always say to you, you're always growing until it's over. Okay, so a round of applause, my dear family, my dear siblings, for my newfound friend, Mark V. Smith. I love doing that. All right, so welcome, Mark, and thank you so much for taking time out of your day, because I know on the East Coast you're 3 hours ahead of us, and so you took time to stop and join us for a little while here on Life is a Sacred Journey. As we were beginning the podcast, you and I had a moment to chat, and I just really want you to dig in first and I heard your podcast, and so I'm not going to ask you that question. But what I am going to say is that there's a moment in all of our lives where we wake up. It's a moment, it's a time, it can happen over a period of time when we realize our best life is on the other side of the vision and a dream. What was that moment for you? When did it happen? And describe it to us.
Well, first and foremost, good morning, afternoon, as you say, afternoon, evening, wherever you are. Thank you so much, Michelle, for having me here this morning. I can say it. This has been an ongoing process, and I'm sure you talk to your listeners and tell them about they're always growing. Everything that they go through and everything that they do in life is for a reason. It's not a mistake, anything that has occurred. And, I go back and look at, I was talking to a gentleman yesterday at a training I was doing, and he asked me, he said, Mark, when did you truly realize that this is a path that you truly wanted to take? And I said, man, if I go back and look at when I was in high school, I played high school sports and I participated in collegiately as well. I was an introvert, man. You can get me to say 2 to 3 words unless we were interacting on a football field. So that's when I kind of got amped up, engaged. And then I remember my coach telling me, he said, man, the words that you say lead people. And I don't mean lead people in terms of leading them to follow you, but they give them that insight to believe that they are better and it can always be better. So this led me to driving down this road, but I won't say the nail in the coffin, or I like to say the push out of my square to make me expand and grow happened, through my life, but more importantly, when I lost my job. I lost my job back in 2018, and people that know me hear me say something that's so key, and that's comfort is a casualty of growth. And I got comfortable. Doing the same things over and over and over again. And God never wants us to be comfortable. He wants us to always excel. So there was a time when I was actually doing what I do, career development. I was speaking to individuals. I was talking to them about the importance of resume development, dressing for the job that you want, not the job that you have, those types of things. And I got called into the quote unquote, the principal's office, got called into the campus president's office, and they told us that we were all leaving. We were shutting down the venue, shutting down the school. And that sent me into a topsy-turvy. This was right before Christmas in 2018. And mind you, Michelle, I'd never been unemployed. I quit jobs. Jobs didn't, quote unquote, quit me. So that sent me in a mindset that, what am I to do? I've never experienced this. Mm-hmm. And I remember just sitting down and talking to my wife about it, bless her, because she has lifted me and kept me above ground, truly above ground on many occasions. She had said, do what you always had a passion to do, Mark. Tell your story. Mm-hmm. Talk about how important perseverance is. Talk about the way people can see right here where they are, but also make them open their mind to have vision. See, a lot of people can see, but not many have vision. And that's what I needed to go back to, retrain myself to do. And I started doing it. And in January 2019, I said, no guts, no glory, dare to be different. So I released my very first YouTube video, not really having any idea what I wanted to say, but I just said, speak from your heart, Mark. Anytime you can speak from your heart, it will resonate and change one life. And that's what I did. And that did very successful. I was very successful with that. And from that point on, I said, what do I want this to be? What are we all doing? What are we all evolving from? And I said, wait a minute. Life is a process. Everything that I've gone through, everything that everybody else goes through, it's a process. It may be different it is different from each individual. But one thing is consistent is most of us have eaten a cake before. A cake is a cake. It needs a heat source to make it rise so you can eat it. But what's different about it is the ingredients or the things that we go through that are inside that cake that make it tasty, that make it experience that we all need to, as I say, grow from. So that's kind of the backbone of where the process came from. But I said I want to do something different. I'd heard individuals speak on multiple platforms, and I would resonate with some of the things that they said, which was great. But a lot of times when I went home, I couldn't remember half that. One or two things I would pick out. So I said, how do you dare to be different? So I said, perhaps the utilization of acronyms might best tell the story and for people to always relate to. We live in a methodology as trainers. We say, teach it quick to make it stick. So if you're giving somebody something to make it stick within them, they can carry that with them and carry it on to other individuals. And thus, I've created 38 messages. All of them are acronym based. There's 6 series in the process, and we're working this out to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to pull something that will resonate no matter what they're going through in their life.
And I love them, and I love, because I went to the process website, and folks, I will have Mark tell you how to get there, but you can find it very easily by putting his name in the Google search thing, and it will come up. But I was looking through it and actually listened to some of the wonderful advice, and I love it because they're all the things that people are always saying keep them from living out their vision. And you're inviting them to be an active participant in their vision instead of thinking that it's going to fall from the sky like manna, or it's going to come to the door and knock or ring the doorbell and you just open and there it is. So when I listened to some of them, and then I looked at your logo and I thought, okay, is that the Lion of Zion? And then I thought, maybe not. And then I thought, why a lion? And then I thought, maybe it is. So since you're here, tell us about the logo.
As you can see, it's behind me back here.
Behind you, yeah.
I was always taught that knowledge speaks and wisdom listens. And my logo signifies that there is a lion, somebody that is teaching, somebody that is instructing, somebody that's helping pull somebody up. And then there's the cub. There's somebody that is, we all are cubs. We all are listening. We're all trying to grab information and absorb information that's going to help us move to a different level. So I go back and often talk about some of the leaders or I use the word legacy that is an acronym for what I say, which means leaders exemplify greatness among choices over the years. That's legacy. So I go back and think about some of the individuals who impacted me and some of the ones that still impact me, and how much of an influence they had in my life, and how much of what they have driven and given to me that I didn't understand then as a young man, but I truly understand the words that were coming and the meaning behind that. So I wanted that to be my signature, that somebody is always speaking and we have the opportunity to listen. But if we choose to listen, we'll be truly rewarded for that opportunity as well. So
very powerful.
That's the message behind the logo.
Very powerful, because again, the lion as an animal or as a creation is powerful but gentle. The unfortunate part is that the lion gets a bad rap because we only show the lion eating okay? People eating his dinner, supper, or breakfast or whatever. And that is turned into a violent act as opposed to eating. And when you watch the lion in his habitat or her habitat, they are very loving and they're very tribal. And they do exactly what you're saying with the cubs. They pop them on the head when they're straying too far away and are in danger, but they also cuddle them up in the warmth of the mane. So I really resonate with that. So thank you so much for sharing, because that was one of the first things that like boom, boom, bing, 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 bing. And because I studied advertising and worked in the advertising industry, so logos are really important to me, and in a way that they can also, like you just did, tell your story. I mean, I even though you told it in a different way than I did, I still felt what you just said. So when you talk about the what, the why, I wrote these down. The who, the what, the why. I always say, it's so important to figure out your why. But it's an ongoing process. My why 20 years ago is not my why today. And so break that down for us, because you did something with the spellings and the W and the H and all of that. And so take us through that process, and siblings and folks out there, get a piece of paper. Let me give you a few minutes. I'm gonna ramble on a minute. Get a piece of paper or pull up your laptop, because caregivers, because a lot of the folks that follow us, Mark, are caregivers. Understanding that where you are in the process of your caregiving life and your why you are a caregiver will help you in those moments when it feels like the caregiving is more than your mind, body, and spirit can handle. So listen intently to what Mark is getting ready to share with you. And then I invite you also to go to his podcast, where you can get more in-depth learning. Remember, learning, knowledge, and wisdom are not the same. So you got to seek it, you got to be it, you got to live it. And as he said, practice, taste it. And then once you do, then you realize what you need to do to change. So I gave you enough time. Your piece of paper and your laptop or whatever you use, your phone. And so Mark, take us through the who, what, and why.
One of the things that I had to come to realization with, and I did that I want to say a later portion of my life. I'm not going to say older. I'm going to say wiser. Everybody knows me. Not going to say old. We're going to say wiser. One of the things that I truly had to impact and embrace is that, for most people, your dreams are usually influenced by the world, but your purpose is owning everything about you individually. And a lot of people confuse purpose for placement. See, the caregiver that you just mentioned that's purpose. You are purpose. You are born, created different than anybody else with the design to be the special person that you are. So your why centers around welcoming the happiness within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Welcoming the happiness within yourself. WHY. So I often talk a lot about taking a look at your internal gate or your internal clock, because we all have 86,400 seconds a day. That's what we all have. That doesn't change. It's not going to change. You can't carry over. So what is it about that time that you can maximize every single day? How can you best look at yourself in the most beautiful, positive light and say that no matter what, I'm making a difference in any and everything that I do? So when I say your why is greater than your situation, meaning no matter what you're going through, if you're welcoming the happiness within yourself, then guess what? It's still part of your process. And your process is always evolution and always growing. So I would strongly, strongly encourage everybody to take a moment and really think about the true happiness that you have within. I do an exercise, Michelle, with individuals a lot of times when I do speeches as well as do shows. And I ask them, what is the most valuable piece of furniture that you own in your home? And you'd be surprised. I hear my TV. Most of the men say my big screen TV. I hear some people say the refrigerator. I hear some people say their clothes. I hear all those types of things. But when I break it down to them, I say, you know what? To me, your most valuable piece of furniture inside your home is your mirror, because that is probably the first thing that you visually look at in the morning. And what you see and what you feel about yourself is so key. You have that moment right then and there to say, hey, I am special, I am great, I am a king, I am a queen, I am powerful, and nothing is going to knock me off my square today because I am okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have a past full with drugs. Doesn't matter if you have a past full of alcohol. No matter what your past is, that is just it. It's your past. There is a dynamic reason why when we drive a vehicle that the front mirror is bigger than that rear view. There's a dynamic reason why it is. That is because we are designed to look forward, not look backwards. So your why is all determined about welcoming the happiness within yourself every single day. Is it tough? Absolutely. Absolutely it is, because we live in a world that is fixated on negativity. We live in a world that's fixated on trying to be, I want to say, be better than somebody else. But actually, as you and I talked about before, this world and what we're living in is truly designed to be simplistic. It truly is. You are to work with individuals. Let me back up. The very first episode that I wrote in the process was called The Foundation. And there's actually 6 series or 6 seasons within in the process so far. It will be 10 before we package it up, put it in a book, and put it out there. But the very first one was called The Foundation, because I believe that you have to have a starting point. Even when you get up here, man, you got to come back down here sometimes. You got to come back down here and realize and count your small wins. Your small wins all the way along the way, so you don't lose who you truly are. So the very first series that I wrote, and I went to my wife, I said, what can I write about that people will really understand? She said, well, Mark, what do you feel the basic foundation is in making people understand each other? Because if you can't understand and dialogue with each other, you can't do much of anything. So I said, how about air? And she looked at me, she said, okay, crazy. What do you mean by air? I said, well, hold on, honey.
My head, like,
I said, hold on, honey. How about I add another R to that? And she said, okay, they're really going to think you nuts, Mark. They're going to think you didn't graduate high school. You're on the funny farm or something's going on. I said, hold on, but watch this. I said, how about the true basics of life is air? It's accountability, it's integrity, it's responsibility, and it's respect.
Ooh. Say that
accountability.
Again. Say that again.
Accountability. We have to move to another level. You cannot blame anybody for what happened to you. You got to let that go. You can't hold on to anybody that's wronged you, to the job that let you go. I did it. You got to let that go and be accountable to who you are and the greatness that's within. Mm-hmm. The second one is integrity. Man, doing what you're supposed to do when others aren't looking. No matter what it is, no matter how you do it, no matter thinking somebody is not watching you. If you're doing things the right way all the time, that's called consistent. And by the way, I say words lie, actions lie, consistency doesn't lie. There you go. So let's go. let's go back here. So then there's the first R, which is responsibility.
Yep.
Come on now. We can't pass the buck. Back when I was younger, I had that old adage, and my mom used to shake her head when I say it, not my monkey, not my circus. Meaning, not my problem, but yet and still, I'm responsible for those young men and women in Baltimore. I'm responsible for those young men and women in DC, because I'm 13 miles proximity. I'm close to Virginia. I'm responsible to those. I'm responsible to, I've got lived 13 years in Arizona. I still have ties there. I'm responsible to individuals there. So make sure we're accountable, have that integrity, we're responsible. But man, Michelle, respect. I feel that is the true missing piece of where we are today, in us taking ourselves personally to the next level. Because I don't have to, and I talk about it all the time. Listen, some of your views, not you specifically, but some of the individuals' views, I may not agree with, and that's okay. That's fine. I may not agree with the things that you do. That's fine. But my it is owed to respect you and respect your opinion. And we shake hands, we part as friends, and we move on. We don't have to interact anymore. But I don't have to be trying to shoot you up. I don't have to use words of negativity towards you. I don't have to talk about you. I need to focus on how can I be the best me that I can be. So if I'm accountable, I have integrity, if I have responsibility, and I practice respect, guess what? I'm on a path of acceleration. Nothing can knock me off my square no matter what that day holds for me, because I got that foundation to move forward to understand where I need to go.
I love that because yes and yes and yes. And, I think that what you're saying now really resonates in this time, in this moment in our history and evolution as a humanity, because we shifted so far to where a person cannot have an opinion without being punished. We move from conversation to debate so rapidly, when I'm not trying to have a debate with you. This is my opinion. And we think we can't love other people who think differently than us. I can love you. That doesn't mean I like you, but I love you. And that's two different things. And so there's this pull all the time right now in our society, which is creating the growth in anxiety, the growth in suicides. And so as you look in look into the world and look in with the understanding of the process, how do we begin to hold each other accountable for our behavior without penalizing? As you said, some of us have had rocky starts, and I always tell people, I may look like a shiny penny right now, but if you had met me when I was 21, 22, you might not have liked me, and because I wasn't likable and I didn't like nobody. So at the end of the day, people change and people become who they were created to be over, as you say, the process, the time. And so how do we begin to shift back a little bit where we can hold each other accountable for accountability, integrity, responsibility, and respect? I think we have to hold each other accountable. I need you to hold me accountable when I'm falling off my mark. But are we ready for this?
Absolutely. We've been ready. We've been ready. Back in season 4 of the process, it was entitled "Why Not Me?"
Okay,
And
yes.
when I started in season 4, I started writing mission statements at the very beginning, and that basically kind of cued or told everybody a little bit kind of what I'm going to talk about. So I said in season 4, "Why Not Me?" I said, "In your path, storms will arise, but the wisdom gained shall give me the perseverance to answer the question, why not me?" So I wrote something about arise, and arise stood for an attitude responsible in reaching self-excellence. Attitude responsible in reaching self-excellence. So we are ready. We just need to accept the fact that we are projected, we are directed and designed to move forward. And we cannot continue. We have to take the necessary steps to block the negativity. We can do it. I always have heard the saying that we also have the opportunity or the decision to realize if the individuals that we work with, we deal with, or we interact with, if that is our circle or is that our cage. Which is it with us that we need to identify ourselves from, to move away from, to make sure that we are going. Funny story, when I wrote them the last series, I'm finishing a series right now called "If I Only Knew Then What I Know Now."
That's the
So,
one.
so we kind of talked about that at the very beginning. But in that one of those messages, I talk about the situation or story, true story, when my wife went into Macy's. And she went into Macy's and she came out with a oblong, crazy looking bag. And I saw Macy's and I'm thinking, oh, she done spent some money. Where did she done buy? So I asked her when she walked out, I said, babe, what is that? She said, I'll tell you later. I'll show you later. So when we went home, then we went to dinner, came back, went home, and I went to my office and started writing for one of the upcoming shows. And she said, I'm ready to talk to you about this gift. I said, okay. And she pulled out 2 duffel bags. And she had inscribed on one of them to today versus yesterday. And she said, I want you to think about, she said, I want to remind you, I want you to look at these bags every day. And I want you to remember where you were to where you are. And all this things is stuff inside this yesterday bag. That's that heavy bag. So all the negativity, all the times that you spoke ill about somebody, all the times that you didn't think that you could do something, put all that in that bag. And in this future bag or tomorrow bag, I want you to think about what you're doing now. Think about the lives that you truly are trying to change today. Think about the interaction that you have with people, because guess what? You and I, everybody who's listening, you got two options when you interact with people. You can leave them bitter or you can leave them better. That's on you. So you have that capability to do so. So, that was one of the messages that I talked about. And I say that to everybody. Take that old stuff that means nothing to you. It really doesn't. It is something that is an emotional tie that you have still chained to. Get rid of that tie, because that tie is not there for you anyway. As long as you allow those types of things to harbor inside you, guess what? You can't grow forward. And growth. I also wrote something about growth, and I talk a lot about it as well. And a lot of people say, well, yeah, growth. I know that means getting taller, getting wider. No, you have to remember, in testing yourself and testing your will, growth stands for gradual reminder. Obstacles will test hope. That's growth. That is growth. Gradual reminder. Obstacles will test hope. And you and I both know that obstacle equals opportunity. Yes. So bring it on. Bring me that next opportunity, or that's right there. And then you can test my hope, because at the end of the day, both of us, everybody listening, we are 100% capable, 100% ready to make it through anything that's pushed our way. We've done it. Some of the things may not have turned out the way that we truly envisioned, but guess what? It was turned out the way it should be. So all I want to wrap up and tell everybody, just embrace where you are and look to figure out what you need to do to move to the next level. Are you going to have trials and tribulations? Absolutely. I got them today. I'm not going to say problems, because problems mean that you give up. We have situations, and there's resources for all your situations, whether it's a parenthood, whether it's alcohol and drugs, whether it's whatever it is, loss of job. There's resources to help get you through. You have to ask for them and seek them, because they're there. But also, you need to surround yourself with that circle, not that cage. And make sure people who are pouring into you because they love you, they want to see success within you, and they want you to be the best you that you can be. And if you can't, see me and you, Michelle. We'll take care of
it. I will help lift you up. I love the circle versus cage. Mm-hmm. For all you young folks that follow Life is a Sacred Journey, again, thank you, millennials and XYZers, for following me and hollering at me all the time. But the circle versus the cage is a conversation that I've had with many of you. I haven't used this terminology, but this is perfect. A circle is a place where you can look all around it and see the eyes of love. It creates a space of warmth. It creates a space of safety. A cage keeps you from flying free. Remember, I know why the cage bird, okay? And it keeps you from seeing who you are. Mark V. Smith is this motivational speaker because he had life experience that knocked him to his knees. And he got up. And when he got up, he looked up and he said, wait a minute, this is just a stumbling block on life. It's like having a pair of high heels when I used to wear them and they got caught in the sidewalk, but I still could walk. I still kept going. I still sometimes out of the shoe, but you still keep going. And so for all of you caregivers, you young people out there, yes, this is a crazy world right now. Yes, it is. But you have something inside of you that is magnificent and great, and that you just need to tap into it. And it's what Mark just said, hope. Hope. And I'm going to have Mr. Mark V. Smith back, because there's a Greyhound story. There's all kinds of things that he has experienced. But before I do that, go to his website. Tell them how to get a hold of you because there's folks that watch us on LinkedIn that they may want you to come and motivate their leadership, or if there's someone who might want to connect with you because you resonated with them this morning, how do they do that?
Well, they definitely can go to my website. That's theprocessmarksmith.com. There's a section down there to where you can actually go in and you can input your information, and I will definitely reach right back out to you. If you can follow me on Facebook. All those are on my website. There's links at the top. You click Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all of those. You can definitely connect with me there. I would love to have an opportunity to speak with you, dialogue with you, share information with you. And you're right. If you're looking for somebody to come in and kind of help motivate your organization, help motivate your team, help have a one-on-one conversation to help motivate you, we can do it. If I may, Michelle,
please.
Can I tell one quick story? Story.
Please.
It's a story that I heard that I always draw back to and I resonate from. And I actually heard the story. Wow, I've got to use this before.
Okay.
There was a time when a young man, a father and his daughter, they actually were on their way or leaving in a revival. The daughter was 16 years old and she was just getting her license. So the dad said he's going to do something unique. He's going to give her the keys and let her drive. So they're driving along, and as it starts to go through, a storm starts coming. So she being a new driver, she kind of panics a little bit and looks over at her dad and says, Daddy, do you want me to pull over? He looked at her straight in the eye with a smile and said, Nah, baby, keep going. So they drove a little further. Storm kept coming, started to really intensify. He looked over again, looked at her, said, Daddy, can I pull over now? He said, No, baby, keep going. They keep driving and driving. It's immeasurable. She couldn't see in front of her. She looked at her daddy and said, Daddy, do you want me to pull over now? Please, Daddy. Tears coming down her eye. Daddy said, No, baby, just keep driving. So about 3 or 4 miles up the street, they continue to drive. The sun comes out. They keep going. And she says, Daddy, can I pull over now? He said, Yeah, baby, pull over. So he said, I want you to get out the car. So both of them get out the car. He turns around and says, Now, honey, I want you to turn around and look back. And she said, What am I looking at, Daddy? He said, what about the trucks and everything that were in there? She said, Daddy, they're still in the storm. He said, Exactly, baby. When we pull over in life, we continue to get bottled down with the storm. But if we keep going and we keep pushing, we are going to make it through that storm. So I want to tell each and every one of you, we all have storms. We all are going to have storms. But remember, you can continue to drive through that storm and not stop, because you are going to get through. The sun is going to come back, and that will be, again, behind you in your rearview mirror. Your why is truly greater than your situation, which is part of your process.
Ooh. I could talk to you all day long. You are a gift to all of us. And thank you so much I want to thank the universe for helping you to identify your why. I want to thank your beautiful wife who has walked with you and supported you as your partner and your friend and colleague and everything in life. Because when we get our circle and when we put it with the why and everything, we can live our best existence. So Mark V. Smith, thank you so much for joining the Life is a Sacred Journey community. We are so honored to know you, and we're going to have you back. So friends, go ahead, say it.
Thank you so much.
It's so good. So friends, listen, it's Friday. I think it's a long weekend for most of us, wherever we are. And I want you to think about just all the things that you heard today, all the things that you wrote down. Just take a moment and feel them, breathe them in, and then write down. Remember, Steve Schallenberger said, if you don't write down the roles that you play in life, then you'll let the roles of your life play you. Okay? And then Mark V. Smith is even taking it to another level, saying, don't worry about the past. Just keep moving to the vision that you see in the mirror every day. Why I have Post-it notes all over my mirror. Put the affirmations up there. Speak them in the morning when you get up. Start this weekend. You have a long weekend. You can do it. You can do it. It's a long weekend. You can change. You can change. We can change. We are changing. So go out there, hug a tree. You know how I feel about the trees. Hug a tree, pet a dog, pet a cat. Tell somebody they matter. Tell somebody you care. And all of you out there, if you are experiencing any grief, any anxiety that makes you feel that your life, it doesn't matter, and that the next moment, if you took your life, the world would be a better place, that is a lie. The world will not be a better place without you. Yes, you're going through a storm right now. Find a phone, pick it up, and call the National Suicide Hotline. We will have it in the bottom here for you to call. They also have a chat line. But do not take your life. There is nothing more important than you. And you will get through this. And there is somebody out there that will help you through the National Suicide Hotline. Don't take your life. Don't take your life. I promise you. It may not be tomorrow. It may not even be in a year. But as long as you keep getting up and rising, it will get better. You matter to me. You belong to the ripple of Life is a Sacred Journey. Be well, be courageous, and live your best life. Peace out.